Hello, it is Diane with Diane's Blue Hearts and Butterflies.com, and I held an event recently where I shared 5 different projects with some techniques, coloring techniques, and ways of using Stampin' Up! Products and something that isn't normally used that way. I came across this card that I really fell in love with. The idea is by Jennifer Roque. And this is one of the new products in the Stampin' Up! Line, is this 3D embossing folder that is a bunch of sunflowers. And I started looking for ways that people were using this, and I came across this idea that she made it look like it's a wood carving. And so we're going to be using the embossing folder in a way that's kind of different. Some of the other products I used for my cards are some retired stuff as well as some current stuff. So the You Are My Sunshine, I love that saying from Ridiculously Awesome. But the inside of that card, I'm using a current set that is called You Are Remarkable. I really love the sayings that were in here, as well as the 2-step stamping. You stamp the image, and then it has some pieces that you can stamp and layer onto there. So we'll kind of go through that. Then the Get Well card, the Sending Healing Hugs was from So Sentimental, which is retired. And then the inside sentiment, I wanted the Hope You're Feeling Better Soon from So Sincere. I think this one's retired, but I'm not sure. It may still be available. I didn't look before I checked the video. Another thing that I used was an old set that I had called Gorgeous Leaves, and I was using some of the leaves out of it, as well as this little splotch to kind of make that idea. So on the splotch, I inked it up, and then I stamped off, and then stamped so that it's a lighter shade of the crumb cake. And then the sentiment is in Early Espresso. And then some of the other colors I'm using are Crushed Curry, Shaded Spruce, Pumpkin Pie, and Cajun Craze, as well as the Early Espresso. So I'm also using some linen thread that I tied a double bow, but if you have whatever threads or twines you have would work. So let me get those off to the side. All of my dimensions for the cards are over on the blog, except for the scoring for the 2 different folds. I was going to go over that in the video, because I wanted to be able to show how you could kind of make this work for a side gate fold as well as just a regular fold card. So there's a couple of different dimensions on the scoring for that. And you can find all that over on my blog at dianesblueheartsandbutterflies.com. Some of the other things that I used on the labels was a corner rounder, which Stampin' Up! Doesn't have that anymore. I have an old one. And then I also have the banner triple punch that I used to cut this banner. But you can just take scissors and you cut up in the middle as far as you want to go, and then cut out to each end, and it would do the same thing. So let's go over what you will need. Is the base is basically a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of Early Espresso cardstock. The side gate fold, you're going to score this in landscape at 1 1/4, and then 5.5, and that will create the side gate fold. If you're just making the regular folded in half, your score line is going to be in landscape at 4 1/4. And I have one of those here as well. So that one's just scored in half at 4 1/4, and then you just fold that over in half and burnish that score line. So you have the 2 bases. It's the same measurement for the piece. It's just in the way that you score it and fold it. Then I have 2 pieces of, I used Very Vanilla, that are 5 1/4 by 4. One of them you're going to run through the embossing folder with that 3D embossing, sunflower embossing to create that embossed. The other one you're going to stamp your images and sentiments on for the inside of the card. And that will be stamped with whichever one you're going to use. So the Feeling Better one, the Get Well one, I made to go in this one. And this You Are Remarkable in Every Way is going to go on the inside of that one. Then I cut a tag, and I started out with just a 3 1/2 by 2 inch Very Vanilla piece. So on this one, I just took the corner rounder and rounded the 2 opposite corners. And on the other card, I stamped my saying, and I wanted to leave a little bit of room over here because I am actually going to wrap the thread and tie it. Instead of tying a double bow, which I did for this card, I'm going to wrap it around this end a couple of times and then tie a bow, and then these will be popped up on those cards. And so the linen thread is there for that. And then I have just some adhesive backed gems. You could use whatever you have on hand. I just pulled out some stuff that I had that I need to use and just use those. So let's get over to the technique portion, because it'll be the same as far as the way that we're going to do the wood carving technique for the coloring. And it'll be the same for both cards. Just one of them, after you've done it, then you're going to cut it to fit on the side gatefold. So normally, this is the way we usually use the embossed images, where it's embossed up. But on this technique, we're actually going to turn it so that the embossing is down, so that it's facing the table, and the debossed or the recessed image is here. Now, she used 3 different colors and a swiping technique to create the wood grain or wood carving look. She started with the crumb cake, which is the lighter color, and you're just going to use kind of the edge of your ink pad, and you're wanting to make sure that you do a swipe. You don't want to push down real hard. You're just kind of swiping and pulling lightly, not too light but not too heavy, and you want to do it in one motion. I had a boo-boo and accidentally stopped, and it created a line. So if you're not going to like that, just make sure that you don't stop or start in the middle. You're going to want to start off of the image or off the piece and work your way down, and then I turn it over, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other half. And that's the crumb cake. Then pecan pie is the next color. Adds some dimension, and you're going to do the same thing. Start off and swipe, and then start off and swipe. And you can see it just kind of brings out that, making it look like it's wood. And then the final is Early Espresso. It's the darkest of the inks. And you're going to do the same thing, and it really brings out, makes it look like it's a wood carving. And then we're going to add some other colors to brighten it up by using the daubers. Now, you can get daubers anywhere. I keep mine. I actually write the color on it, and I reuse them. And I found these keepers to keep them in, and I have a whole bunch that are already ready to go. So this one is the crushed curry, which I think it's a retired color now, but I still use it. You can use Daffodil Delight, you could use whatever you have. This is about using things that you have or that you want to get. in a different way. And then you're just going to take these daubers, and you might want to put a little bit out on your paper just so you don't end up with a blotch. And lightly you're going to color your petals for your sunflower. And then when you need some more, just get some more, and you're just going to color using the dauber. And you'll keep moving around. I'm using the crushed curry for these petals on the flower. And then I'm going to use 2 different colors on the centers for the flower, for the sunflower. I'm going to use pumpkin pie and Cajun craze. Got another sunflower peeking in over here. I want to catch that one. And a few more leaves coming in this way. Looks like there might be some more. I don't know. All right. Then I have pumpkin pie is going to be the outer ring. That's what I did. You could do whatever you want. And you're just adding by dabbing or swiping, daubing the color on. And then I'm going to use Cajun Craze for the very center part. Kind of bring out, just looks like you're painted a wood carving. Is just really what it looks like. Set these off out of the way so I don't accidentally stick my fingers in it. And then I'll bring in shaded spruce. She used this. I thought it was kind of a dark color, but the more that I saw it being used, it just really seemed to fit. And this is for the leaves, the green part, the green leaves of the petals or plant or whatever you want to call it. And it just adds that pop that this card just really needed by adding that little bit of green. That's a bright green. And it doesn't matter if you accidentally color over an area. It just kind of gives it a little more character. And basically you're kind of coloring in that debossed, recessed area. And that's what you're creating. So on this one, you kind of let it set off to dry. And this one would go over here, the full size, just on the front. But if you're going to do this for the side gate fold, you're going to take this one and cut it down using your trimmer. And I turned it over. Well, actually, I'm going to just leave it that way. Decide which way you might want it to show. I think I want there to be some sunflower on that little piece, the little side gate over here. I don't want it to just be, I don't think I want it to be just that. So I'm going to do this. So I'm going to cut this at 2 7/8. And then that leaves 1 1/8 on the other side. You may want to cut it down a little bit more if it looks like it's just doesn't have enough border for you. But you'll just take and run your trimmer blade, cutting blade through that, and create these two pieces. And then they will glue on right on these sides right here. It'll have just a very tiny border there and a little bit larger border there. But that, I'm just going to go ahead and put this one together. The other one is kind of a standard card. So on this one, I use Stampin' Seal Plus. It's a stronger adhesive, and I just like the way that it that I can use it, and it doesn't get come off the projects that I make very much. So this one is that remarkable stamp set that is available, and I just stamped the detailed flower in early espresso, and then I took the crushed curry, and it has these petals that fill in, and I did that in crushed curry, and I stamped off and then stamped, and then I did the Cajun craze for the center, and then I did the shaded spruce for the leaves that actually fit this, and it's a two-step stamp. And then it also has this little bee that I did in crushed curry, and then I just did the sentiment in early espresso. Then you'll take this. Now, someone had recommended that because this has been embossed, sometimes when you use a tape runner, it actually tears because the fibers are kind of, I don't know what you call it, broken or weakened, so that it can create that. So a good thing to use is actually the white craft glue. And this one also fits and fills in some of those edges, the ridges, so that it adheres to the card front better. And using less is more when you're using this glue. I tend to always get it everywhere. That's why I don't generally use it very much, because I just can't seem to control how much comes out. So this will go on here. Now you're going to want to make sure that you keep your pieces kind of together when you're putting them on, so that you know where they come together. You wouldn't want this to be backwards, is what I guess I'm getting at, because then it wouldn't line up and the image wouldn't be complete. Then you just kind of line that up. One thing about using the white craft glue, the Tombow glue, is that it does has a little more wiggle room as far as time to put it on. Oh, this one, I had it stored upside down and it is just gushing out. Like I said, I don't use the white glue very much because I make a mess. I'm not so good with the Tombow glue. I want to make sure I get it out on the edges. So I'm trying to spread it out. Okay. Again, I want to make sure that this lines up, the image lines up. So I'm going to kind of fold these together so that I can have them sort of in the same area. I don't want them to be. There we go. And then just kind of press that down. Now, this is where I get that white glue everywhere. And it gets on my fingers. It gets some rubbed off. So, on this, I did want to use dimensionals to pop this up. And I want to make sure that I don't put the dimensionals so that it's going to close up the card so that it can't be opened. So you want to make sure that when you're putting it on here that you're not putting it on the part that overhangs. So if you need to, you can put lay this down where you want this and hang on to it, and then take a pencil and just kind of draw a line on the back side. You can erase it later if you want to. And then when you put your dimensionals, grab that, put them on here, You want to make sure you don't put them where they're going to be in that part that's going to hang over. And you want to make sure you have enough so that it doesn't get mushed when you send it in an envelope. So I'm going to do one in the middle to kind of help hold that up. And then tear off the backings. I've seen some ladies that use their take your pick tool, the piercing tool attachment, and can grab it with that and pull it off, and I am not as coordinated as they are. So then you're going to kind of line that up again where you want it, and then stick that down. Might need to burnish your edges again on that fold just to make sure. And if you really want to, you can do a belly band or a tie or something. I'm going to take this double bow that I made from the linen thread, and I'm going to roll up one of these glue dots, and I'm going to stick that to the back of my knot. And I rolled it up so that it wouldn't be sticking out around the edges. And then I'm just going to stick that kind of down here at the bottom. And then I will use the take your pick tool to help me. It's sticking to me because I got glue on my fingers. Grab these, put them on the front of the card. Earlier I was making another video and one of these gems got lost. I found it later. It was under the envelope. It had stuck to the back of it, so I did find it. So that is that one. And the other one, we're going to basically do the same thing, only I just added the, on the back of this, let me get the linen thread so I can show you how I did this part. So I just, and that's the one I haven't opened yet. Get one that's opened. So I just kind of leave a big tail that I can tie a bow, and I'm going to wrap this around a couple of times, and then I will, and you can do 2, 3, however many you want to do. I'm just going to kind of move that over, but I always tie a knot and then the bow, because I am not coordinated enough to have it stay tight enough. When I'm tying a bow. So I'm tying that so it'll stay tight, and then I can tie my bow. And you can have those ends be as long or short as you want. Kind of want to have some movement. And then I took the dimensionals, and you can use the mini ones if you want, so that you can put some on the back side, and then put some on the opposite side of that string, that twine, linen thread, whatever. And then I'm putting it out here. Oh yeah, because this one's going to be solid across the front. It's not a gatefold. So I'm putting a few like that. And then once I get that card front done and colored, then I will adhere all of this together and put that on there with its gems on there, and then it will be a finished card as well. I hope that you enjoyed learning this technique with me. It was really fun learning how to do it. Also, don't forget to stamp your envelopes so that they aren't kind of naked. They have some character as well. And I hope that you enjoyed this, and that you will go over to check out my blog for some of the other projects that I do. If you enjoyed the video, I hope that you will like and share it with others. And also, if you would like to see more of my work, you can subscribe to my channel. And if you click the bell icon, it'll let you know when I upload new videos so that you can check those out. And the blog is dianesblueheartsandbutterflies.com. And I have several projects over there. And I have all these dimensions so that you can go over and check those out. I appreciate you spending your time with me. Thank you.